So welcome everybody. It's great to have you here this morning. We're going to talk about the RFA that hit the streets on September 10th. We are seeking applications that will improve community resilience and sustainability through sustainable materials management. The total amount that's estimated is $300,000. We're looking at potentially 3 to 7 recipients. The range of funding will be $40,000 to $100,000 approximately. Applicants must select at least one of the following technical assistance methods: research, investigation, experiments, education, training, studies, and/or demonstration of innovative techniques. And projects must take place in EPA Region 4. The two priorities are, number one is addressing municipal recycling markets. And one of the things we're looking at in particular is enhancing rural recycling systems and addressing changing materials markets. The second priority, strategies for preventing food loss and waste in Region 4. You are all aware that we have a goal of 50% reduction by the year 2030. We are hoping for systems-based solutions and innovative projects, not just the same old. We'd really like to move the needle and move things forward. This RFA is a little bit different in that it includes environmental justice. So applicants should discuss and provide specific examples of how the project will address environmental justice. And I think that is all of my summary, and I open up the floor for questions. Or if Barbara, you want to add anything, jump in there as well.
Well, we can summarize the one question we received. I'd like to do that. And then so everybody can hear the answer. And it was a great question that we got very recently, so we could answer part of it. We could not, we're following up. Oh, sorry. I don't know whether you could hear me. Could you hear me? Can you hear Kim?
Now.
Okay. Alrighty. So we got a emailed question. It was very good. We could answer most of it. We're still following up on the rest. And the question was regarding sub-awards. And sub-awards are fine. Notice that there's sub-awards are mentioned in 2 places in the RFA, and they refer you to EPA's solicitation clauses, which is a website. So that's a great place to look. Read that. Also, what we have is we have on, if you Googled it, or we can provide you the link. If you Googled EPA general terms and conditions, you will find what anybody who has funding from EPA in a grant or a cooperative agreement has to comply with. And it's got a lot in it. So subawards is just one part. Subawards is section 8 of EPA's general terms and conditions. And that's another good source. You could look at that. Hopefully that would answer your questions. And then if that doesn't, and you've got more squirrely, more detailed questions, yeah, we email it to us and we'll try to help you out. As you probably know, we can't advise you how to write your application. We cannot tell you how you would respond to a certain criteria, but we can point you into the direction of resources that are available, such as information on our website, like that. So, yeah. And Kim, did you get any other emailed questions?
I did, actually. I got a question that the question is, when will funding cycle begin, and how long, when does the project need to be completed? And so we are anticipating getting the grant awards out in June. And typically it's a 1-year period with a 1-year extension is what we do. And reading through this grant, this RFA, the language was a little bit different, but it basically says 2 years.
And what if they couldn't quite get their work done in 2 years?
Well, all of us have experienced COVID, and so we definitely have flexibilities depending upon case by case and the situation.
And well, just in, my email is working slow. Sometimes from home, I get a whole bunch of emails at once. And it looks like we do have an answer for regarding if you're considering sole source. This is regarding contracting now. If you have one of your partners that might be a private entity and you really want them to do some of the work. Maybe you're going to have a really good outreach firm do your community engagement, and so you know this firm, you've been working with them, you really want to keep them as a partner, and you want to even include them or thinking about them, for a contractor, or subaward. The answer to that kind of thing about having one person, your partner, do that, rather than going out for the typical required federal competitive bid, which is normally very, there's requirements in the CFR about that, about how you have to get typically 3 bids and it's typically following the same process that EPA does and other federal agencies. And usually you have to document that you do that. But in certain cases, it's called sole source, where you really want this person and you believe that they really are the only people that are able to do that. If you want to justify that and look into that, then our competitive grants officer is recommending that you look at 2 CFR 200.317. That's 2 CFR 203.317. And they talks about following the state agency, the state requirements if you are a state applying. So that's a little bit different because that applies to a state. They follow their procedures. But if you're not a state, then you've got to dig into that a little further, and you can look into those federal procurement guidelines. And there's also references to that contracting in the RFA as well, to look at the EPA solicitation clauses.
Hello, I have a question. Can I go ahead?
Sure.
I'm from the University of Kentucky. The question I have is cost sharing allowed in this proposal?
Kim, do you want to answer that? Or do you want me to?
I'll let you answer it.
Okay. Cost sharing is like a match, right? And we aren't requiring that in this proposal. So I know some people are thinking, oh, well, some applications I've seen encourage a voluntary match or leveraging. So I want to show that I'm going to put this much money towards this project. We do not advise that in this RFA. It's not a requirement, and that's why there is no mention of cost sharing or a match. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. And so does that mean that including cost sharing would be a disqualification?
No, it would not be a disqualification. However, you would want to read the details on what you're putting in your budget. If first of all, section 3B says this competition does not require cost sharing or matching funds, and then you want to look closely at the budget criteria, which is in section 4.4C, and it does say when you're talking about the budget, in the budget table, only include costs to be covered by EPA grant funds in the budget table. So you would not want to put your voluntary or your cost share. We do not ask for any information about cost share or match in the criteria.
All right, thank you for clarifying that.
Good.
Hi, my name is James Carr, calling in from Atlanta. I had a quick question just about the difference between, you know, a sub-awardee or a contractor and then a collaboration and partnership, and how y'all see those as being different, or yeah, just about how to approach the application and make sure we're in the right sort of category.
Okay, that's a great question. So I would point you to the sections of the RFA, which let me go back to.
Looks like it's on page 6 and 7 that I'm kind of looking at right now. Section I, F, and IG.
Right, and also if you look under, did you go to the EPA solicitation clauses?
I hadn't checked that out. I'm actually just looking at a printed copy right now, but.
Okay,
But yeah.
I really advise you to look at that because
Okay.
it is a little more than we are prepared to, you know, discuss in this call. If you look at that information, the EPA solicitation clauses and the general terms and conditions that I referenced earlier, and then you look at that and then you still have questions that you're not clear about, I would say email Kim then, and we can try to help you out. Because there is a you know, a specific difference, and I'm sorry, I don't want to go into that unless Kim, would you like to discuss that a little bit?
I'm pulling up the cost review, typically of what we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think it's, well, under sub-awards, a distinct type of cost under this category. The term sub-award means an award of financial assistance, money or property, by any legal agreement made by the recipient to an eligible subrecipient. So then it breaks it down. If it's, you know, for-profit organizations, in almost all cases are not eligible subrecipients. Subawards,
Yes.
and then it goes into, yeah.
Can I, yes, so that is, okay, that's a good one. That's a good, easy one we can tell you about. So a subawardee has to be an eligible applicant. So you can't do a subaward to an entity that isn't an eligible applicant under this application. In other words, your subawardee can't be a private party. It can't be a nonprofit that lobbies. And then, but a contractor, you know, that can be. That's, of course, that's often a private entity. So that's a good, easy difference. Anything else on that, Kim?
Subawards do not include procurement purchases, technical assistance in the form of services instead of money, or other assistance in the form of revenue sharing, loans, loan guarantees, interest subsidies, insurance, or direct appropriations. Subcontracts are not subawards and belong in the contractual category. So a lot of what this does, it sort of orients you, because sometimes these words, we say one word, we mean another, so it's very, very specific how you categorize it, and you have to make sure you're categorizing it in the correct way.
Yes, the solicitation clauses that I'm looking at the PDF, and on page 3 of 15, it goes into section on contracts and subawards. and it explains the difference. It's very, very clear. I think that is really going to help you. And then there's also the guide, which is a link in here, best practice guide for procuring services. So yeah, and keep in mind, you don't have to identify your contractors in the application. So you don't have to have them selected or identified before you, apply.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you so much.
But it doesn't hurt to explain how you're, what I would say is, it would really make any reviewer of the application feel very comfortable if an applicant put in their application that they were going to follow the EPA guidelines for really basically whatever you're doing, whether it's the contracting, procurement, or whatever. So we know that, well, this applicant knows what they're going to do. We feel comfortable they're going to spend the money the right way.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure. That was a great question.
The work plan indicates that letters can be included. The question is, do the letters count toward the 10 pages of the whole document?
Kim, take it away.
I'm looking that up now. I'm going to say no.
Right. That is right. That's a great question, because I think maybe we might not actually have that stated in there, but it does not count towards the 10 pages.
All right,
I'll look for where that is so that.
Page 14.
Yeah, the narrative on page 13, it says the narrative work plan should use font, blah, blah. The narrative must not exceed the 10 single space standard letter size. So that the narrative is the part where you're answering the responses to the criteria. So the letters are extra.
Okay, and in section 2, in the next page, it does list the letters, but what you're saying is the letters do not count towards the 10 pages, right?
Right. Yes.
All right.
Right. Yes, you are correct. They do not count to the 10 pages. I just didn't want that misunderstood.
This is Dee from North Carolina.
Hey.
Hey. I was looking through on page 7 where it's talking about the minority serving institutions. I am actually working with an organization that serves people with disabilities, and I didn't see them listed as a minority. Would that be something that we would be encouraged to point out or apply for, or would we even be eligible?
It's very specific under 1I for the purposes of this solicitation. It lists exactly what are considered MSIs for this solicitation.
Right, so does that mean that if we're not in the list that we would not be eligible?
No, not at all. So you want to look at the eligibility, which is 3A, eligible applicants. That's you need to be a state, local, tribal, interstate, or intrastate government agency. That section, that paragraph that starts. It's in 3A.
9. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. No, going
Barbara,
once.
I have a question. So
Sure.
in the narrative, it says they anticipate approximately 4 awards, $40,000 to $100,000. So does that preclude that if someone applies for, say, a $160,000 project, that they would be disqualified, or is it just the range to give you an idea, and that one would still be considered, or an opportunity for a reduction of budget, or is it pretty much you have to stick within that range?
There is a requirement somewhere in here it's under the threshold requirement. You do not want to exceed that limit. Let me find that if that's what you were asking. Is that because you do not want to go over that. Where's the threshold criteria?
Page 9.
There we go. Okay.
I don't think it addresses it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Doesn't
We
look
had a
like
few
it's
drafts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a few drafts of this, so it's like that was in one of the drafts. We did not take that out. We did take that out apparently, but look for that because I'm a little bit concerned that might be somewhere else. I don't know where else we would have put that though. So, yeah, Kim, what do you think?
I'm a little bit torn, just because there is a part where we can partially fund grants. So, but I don't know if it was more of a legal type question where we can't go beyond that amount. So I think we're going to have to research it and get back definitively with an answer.
Yeah, I do not see the funding limit that any. I just kind of searched through there. So yeah, but before I would say that yeah, well, I'd like that. Yeah, we would want to get back to you just to make sure that it's nowhere in there about the exceeding it, because that has been a threshold criteria for other grants that, and we certainly don't want that to, you know, make your whole application ineligible
Right.
to be reviewed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Well, this is interesting. While I was looking for you know, the limit on the requested budget, on page 13, total project cost, for the person that was asking about a match or cost sharing, on your cover page, notice that it does say your total project cost should be listed on there. And we are asking that you specify the total cost of the project. And this is the one place where we ask you to identify funding from other sources and in-kind contributions. So look at cover page, details, total project cost, and that is where you could put that about your, you know, the amount that, you know, you're contributing or your in-kind, which is not always cash, could be, you know, the work that you're working on the project, not monetary. I hope that person's still on the phone.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, good. Well, it's 10:30. Is this just going to be a half an hour call? You guys, no more questions? You know what you're going to do is you're going to like think of 5 of them tomorrow when you start doing your application. Okay. Well, Kim, what do you want to do? Do you have any wrap up?
Just going to say, make sure you're registered in SAMS. Make sure you have a DUNS number. These are things that could trip you up at the very end and make you not be able to potentially turn in the application. So, and it takes time. It's not a quick thing often. It could take several weeks. So.
And make sure you know who your authorized representative is, because that is the only person that can submit the application in grants.gov. I've seen it where, you know, that was kind of left to the last minute and that guy had retired, and that is not an easy thing to deal with. So make sure you're aware of that. And also, I would suggest really not submitting on that last day. Even if you are sure you have all your ducks in a row, I would set like Friday, that Friday before, as your day that you're going to submit, and go into grants.gov and get it all done. And then if something comes up, at least you've got that that little cushion And then you don't have to think about it over the weekend. It'll make you have a better weekend. I guess we're done, huh, Kim? That was easy.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. We are so looking forward to some innovative and great applications.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.